When you think of currency trading and playing the Forex, you probably think that's a very risky type of speculation to be involved in, and I would agree. But the thing is, most Americans and most people who save money worldwide are currency speculators. They just do it without really thinking about it. Whenever you hold a currency, your country's currency, in an interest-bearing certificate, you're speculating in the currency markets. You're speculating that the US dollar, for example, is going to do better than any other currency given its particular interest rate. Now, you don't have to speculate in the US dollar. You could open a futures account and speculate in any other currency and get the interest rates for any other currency. Or if you don't have enough money to open a futures account, I think there's Everbank, which gives you very poor interest rates on various currencies. But most people simply speculate in their own country's currency without even thinking about it. The same way that most people belong to a certain religion and think that their religion is the best one in the world just because they happen to have been born in the place where that religion was prevalent. People do this without even thinking about it, and they lose a lot of money because of it. So I thought it would be interesting to do a video about currency speculation and what gives various currencies their value. Now, when you hold a currency in an interest-bearing certificate, the rates are ultimately set by the bond market. So ultimately, you're getting a rate based on a loan to that country. And people loan money to countries the same way they loan money to individuals. If you're going to loan money to one of your friends, what do you look at? You look at how much does this person earn versus how much do they spend? And you also look at how much debt does this person already have. So if you were going to hold an interest-bearing certificate in US dollars, in other words, loan money to the United States, the first thing you'd probably want to know is what's the US trade deficit. And I'm not a currency speculator. I believe we have about a $700 billion trade deficit, not a surplus, which we haven't had for many years, a $700 billion trade deficit. That's about 50% more than our total exports, which I think are around 1.4 trillion. In other words, the United States takes 50% more in value than it gives to the rest of the world. The second thing you'd probably want to know if you were going to speculate in the US dollar is how much indebtedness does the United States have? So just looking at the federal government, not even looking at state government or private debt, there's about $55 trillion in future obligations. Now, the US government only takes in about $2.7 trillion a year, and even that's not enough to meet their basic needs, so they've had to borrow several $100 billion a year recently, and that'll probably grow in the future. Now, if you were to look at this in terms of an individual, you could do it a couple ways. One would be to look at an individual who consistently consumes 50% more than they produce, and shows no sign of changing. Another way to look at it would be an individual who draws a $27,000 a year salary but owes $100,000 in current obligations and $550,000 in future obligations. And the problem is, this individual can't even make ends meet with his $27,000 salary. He has to borrow $3,000 or $4,000 a year in growing amounts just to meet his current obligations. He's not making really any progress in paying off his $100,000 debt, much less his future $550,000 debt. Are you going to loan money to this guy?